Hello everyone. So this is the continuation part of the tech trend project. So this is going to be the concluding part. Remember that the from the last tutorial I stopped at the deployment of the Kubernetes cluster. Then when I did the Vagrant Hub, then had already created the Kubernetes declarative manifest, the namespace.yaml, the deploy.yaml, and the service.yaml. So what was pending then is to make sure that the nodes are running after we had created all the sandbox. So I'll go back to then I'll run Vagrant up to put on my virtual bus. My virtual bus is running and I can confirm that at here. Here's the virtual bus, the tech trend project 4. The next thing to do is to SSH into it. So I'll say Vagrant SSH into the virtual bus. Then I'm going to give myself a root privilege using sudo su. So I'm inside of the virtual bus, and then I am the I'd already given myself the root privilege or the root access. So I need to check that the nodes I created are are running, like using the kubelet get. After running kubelet get all, the name of the nodes, that's the sandbox node. Yeah, I can see that this is running. So this is why the video stopped the other time, because I need to get the node running so as to continue. Then I can also run kubelet get po minus a to get all the running ports. So from here I can see that all my ports are running, which includes the sandbox that I created, the tech trends, everything is running. So that will be all for the kubelet side. So I'd already created the namespace, the deploy.yaml, and then the service.yaml. I can confirm that with ls, and you can say I have deploy.yaml, namespace, and service.yaml. That is from the last video. That's the part one of this video. So we can see the content like I did from the last one. Nice cat's name. Here's the content of namespace, service, and we can see that this has an API version of 1, a kind of service, and the app is TechTrend. The name is TechTrend. It is going to run at port 411, which everything is what. Then let me check that of deploy. Yeah, so here is where it's getting the node to run. You can see our image is getting from the Docker image, the TechTrend latest that we deployed. So that is all we require for the Kubernetes side for this. And at the end of this, we would have deployed a Kubernetes cluster using the Vagrant Pulse and K3s. We would have submit the screenshot of the kubelet get nodes and that I ran, and then you're going to take a screenshot of that. Would have constructed the YAML manifest to deploy TechTrend application, including deployments, namespace, and service. That is the YAML file that we have here for the deploy.yaml, service.yaml, and namespace.yaml. and then we would have deployed the tech trend application to K3s cluster. Also, you submit a screenshot of Kubernetes gets all nodes, the sandbox, and that was what we did here. Yeah, and we can see that our pod is running. So that'll be all for this. So the next is the step 5, the EMS chart. For this M chart, we are asked to create a chart.yaml, which is going to have an API version of this. The name is going to be tech trend. Then there's going to be a template. Inside of the template, we are going to have deploy.yaml, namespace.yaml, and service.yaml. And each of it is going to take this information, like the values. We're going to have values.yaml, which is going to have a namespace of sandbox, and the service is going to use port 411 and all other information that is required. The image that we're going to use is the tech trend image with a tag of latest. This is going to take a replicant count of 1. That is for the first value. Then we're going to have multiple values.yaml file for multiple environments. The first one is going to be the staging YAML file. With the staging is going to use a port of 5111 and has a replicant count of 3. While we are going to have a values.prod, which is going to use the staging name of production, and the port is going to be 71. This is going to have a replica count of 5, and then so the difference between these is the staging and the prod is the port is different and the replica count is different. Also, the resources that this is going to use is different. Like this resources is going to use 90 MI and the CPU of 300 M, while that of the production is going to use this. So we're going to place all this in the EMS project folder. So at the end of this, we would have created the EMS chart and placed the EMS project folder, the charts.yaml, the template, the values, then the value staging. And so what we'll do is go back to our Visual Studio. We have an EMS folder that is already constructed for us here. So I'll go by creating the folder. So I'm going to create a template first, a template folder first. Yeah, templates. So inside of template folder, we're going to have deploy.yaml. We're going to have namespace, and then we are going to have service. So I've written all this code. I'll just get and explain. So from our classroom, we had a detailed explanation of this, where we have the API version, the deployment count. This is just going to reference the values.namespace.yaml. We are going to give that, we are going to create that value as well. And here it's going to use the app of tech trends, the image repository, the image tag, and all other information that is required. I'm going to also upload this this codes to GitHub and add it to the description of this video so that we can copy and check it. So that of namespace is just a short one, because this is just going to require a name, which is the values.namespace.name. Then I'm going to add that of service as well. And yeah, the service kind, the app, tech trend, the namespace, and all. I'm going to save it. So that is it for the template. Remember, they asked us to create a folder which is going to have all this. Then the next thing is for me to create the value, I mean the charts chat.yml. From here, we're asked to create a chat.yml file that will require all this information. So I'll just create a new file. I'll call it chat.yml. And inside of this chat.yml, I'm going to add the code, and I'm going to add myself as a maintainer label. This is just a short code that will require the API version, the name, description, and some keywords. Then the next thing is to create the values.yml. From we are asked to create the values.yml file, and it's going to include all this information. So I'll come here, I'll create this, then I'll values. So from here we have the namespace, the name as sandbox, the service, the information is already here, the cluster, the image repository, my Docker URL, I mean Docker username, then the name of the image, then the tag, all of that information. Then I'm going to create another file which is going to be the values staging.yml. Then I'll just say this values staging, and the information is already given to us here, the namespace staging, the ports, the replica counts, and then other information. So here is it. Then I'll create another file which is going to be the value prods, and here enter control. I'll save this as well based on the information that is provided for us here. That is where I created this YAML file, which is you can see namespace, the prod, the service, the image, um, and the resources. So that will be all for the chart. So at the end of the it would have created the charts.yml, which we have done, the templates, the values.yml, value staging, and the value plot. So this is all for this side. Then the next side is the continuous delivery with Argo CD. In this, you are going to deploy an Argo CD given the K3s Kubernetes cluster. We are going to install Argo CD and access it through the browser. Then we are going to make sure that we install it from this official guide that is provided here, and we are going to have a manifest, the YAML manifest for the notepod service that is already provided for us. So this is just the notepod that we're going to use. It's already provided for us here. It has been edited. Just need to copy it and change one or two things. No, we might not even change anything from here because all the information required is given to us. The only thing is we are going to install Argo CD inside of the Vagrant virtual bus. So to do that, I'm going to copy this. Kubernetes create namespace, Argo CD. I'll go back to my so So namespace Argo CD already created. And then I'll say kubelet apply from, we need to apply this. Kubelet apply the namespace, then this. Copy this. So while this is running, we have so many changes to our repo. So I need to push this to GitHub so that it's going to be updated and everything is going to be the same, because we are going to reference the repo for our EMS and the Argo deployment. So I'll open another and I'm going to push my code to Git. Okay, so I've successfully pushed my code to Git. Then I'll go back to my Vagrant and my virtual box. Now I'd install Argo CD and I've done the kubelet apply minus n. So after running this command, we need to wait for some time to get the container running. After which we can now get the nodes. This is going to take some time to, so you can see container creating. This container is still creating. So I'll wait for some time for this container to create. Then once the container finish creating, I can then continue with this. You can see that the service are now running, and this took like 42 minutes before they started running for me to get. For me, I have the service, Argo service, this, and everything is running. We have to wait, like we need to be patient. So to get other information, build, I need to get the service. So yeah, I have the Argo server port 80 TCP and 443. This is what we are going to use to access our Argo URL. Now, the next thing to do is we need to expose it to the internet. First, you need to get the Argo server from the list of service. Then we'll copy the YAML file that is provided for us here. This YAML file that is provided for us here. And we are going to save it. To do that, we are going to say touch Argo server ports. I'm going to touch this. Then I'm going to enter inside of it, and then I'm going to then I for insert. I'll go and copy this. I'll copy everything. Then I'll paste it inside escape, then colon WQ to quit and save. So ls, I have the Argo server notepod.yaml, which is going to include all this information to expose this port at port 443 and 8080. So I'll now say kubelet apply. Remember the manifest declaration, Argo server notepod.yaml. So yeah, then we need to say kubelet get service again to check Yeah, we can see now this has been paired. Formerly it was just this, uh was just this, but now it has been paired. So we have Argo server port, and we have a node port here, and then this is this 80 is paired to 3371. So that is it for here, for that side. The next thing is to access the Argo CD UI by going through the URL that is provided to for us. From here we can access the URL. It is already provided for us. I think it's in the course note as well. I'll just go to this URL. This is going to say your connection is not private. I'll click on advanced, then proceed. Then I'm going to see this. So by default, the username is admin. To access this a place. Now, okay, log in using the CLI. No, this is not it. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. The initial password for this admin content. So if you want to log in, we are going to use admin as the username. Then we are going to run this code to get the password. So I'll just copy this code now. Then I'll go back to my, yeah, so this is the password. I'll just copy this password and save somewhere. Let me have a readme. I'll save this. The username is admin and the password is that style. So I'll just say username, then password. I'll copy the password that I retrieved. Then I'll put it here, sign in. So this will take me to the login page, the URL. You need to take a screenshot of this and send. The next step for this, after we had already, okay, this is the URL that I was looking for the other time. Either you access this URL or this URL after we have implemented this notepad. The next thing is to create the tech trend staging YAML and the production for us to deploy the first staging and the production staging from the values.yaml, values prod and value staging YAML that we created. So to do that, I'll go back to my Visual Studio Code. Then I'm going to say touch ems, because what the name that is given to us here is ems m tech trend staging.yaml, and the name is going to this, is going to use this value. I'll just say touch, and I'm going to include the value for that in it. So then I'll vim into it. I for insert tech trend staging. Before that, let me add the staging here. Let me get the name again. M tech trend staging. Yeah. Then I'll add the code. So from here, this is going to use the API version of this. The application is kind. The metadata, the name is tech trend staging, the namespace is Argo CD, the namespace that we deploy. This is going to use a destination namespace of default. Server is the Kubernetes default, SVC, and the project. Now, this the source is going to be the value file is going to be value staging YAML from the one that we created here, and then the path is going to be this is coming from our URL. So I need to go and copy the right URL. This was the other one. I need to get the right URL from here. So I'll go to my um, I'll go to my GitHub. This is not it. Here is it. The URL. So DevOps project. I need to get the part where the is. So I'll first get this URL. I'll just copy this, add it here. This is the right URL. Save. And the part is from here. I have this and then here is where I have my values dot staging, yeah, values staging YAML and the value prods YAML. So it's going to use this part for the implementation of the. So I'll save this, then I'll copy this code and I'll put uh, inside of the VM. Yeah. So escape, then WQ. So let me say, let me cut it. So we can see what we have. So we can see that we have this API version of this, the kinds. This is the most important place, the paths and the URL, the repo URL. That is the for. Then I need to create that of prods too. I'll go back to for prods. The only thing that will change is this value production, the prods, and the name is going to change. So I'll save it here. Then I'll go get the code. It's going to be the same URL. Just delete this URL. Go get the URL that I was using before. Now the name is value prod. Save this. Then I need to create the file inside of my VM. So I'll say touch and then I'll vim inside of it. I for insert, copy this, paste it inside. I need to be sure here it's, then escape, then WQ. So for me to apply the two files, I'll just say kubelet apply the first one, that's I've applied the staging. Then I need to say kubelet apply minus F to apply the production. So I'll go back to my Argo, and yeah, from here we can see that this, so this is for staging and this is for production. So we need to sync this. To do that, we are going to click on this, then I'll click on sync, I'll click on synchronize, and the synchronization is going to start. That's for this. You can see everything is running. Then I'll go and do the same thing for staging as well. I'll click on sync, I'll click on synchronize, and it's going to start. So the difference between the staging and the prod is one is one has three replicas and the other one has five replica. So this we're going to confirm this sync. This you can see everything is progressing. LD is 5. Every this is You're going to take a screenshot of this and share. So I'll check the first one. This the staging. The staging tech trend has finished. From here we can see that the status is LD and it has already synced. This is using this repository. The path is M and the destination in a cluster. This is still running. It's just going to everything will work. We're going to take a screenshot of this and share on the repo. So at the end of this, we would have deployed an Argo and access it through the local browser, which we have done. You take a screenshot and add it to the screenshot folder. Create Argo application. This track staging.yaml and the production. Use Kubernetes command to deploy the Argo CD application, which we have done. We had already deployed the application and everything is working. Then we are going to take a screenshot of the deployment of the deployed resources for this staging and the prod. That's for this. You can take the screenshot. The same thing for the second one, and you share it on the screenshot folder. And that will be all for this project. The other thing I will need to do is just for me to push the codes that I just edited here to GitHub. I'll just come, I'll say Git. Yeah, so that's all for this project. You just need to add your readme, edit, take the screenshots, and submit the project. Thank you, everyone. I wish you all the best. Bye.